You signed the contract, read the welcome package, showed up on your first day on time, even a little early. You smiled in every introduction, took notes in every meeting. You stayed longer than necessary to show that you were committed. And your manager told you that you were adjusting well, that the onboarding period was 90 days, that this time was meant for you to learn the culture and understand how things work. What nobody told you is that those 90 days were not for you. They were for them. While you were learning the systems, someone on the other side of the table had a file open that you were never going to see. A file with your name on it, with columns, with dates, with notes written about you in meetings you were not invited to. And at the end of those 90 days, that file had a conclusion. Quiet, internal, with no appeal. That is the 90-day trap. It is not an accident of corporate culture. It is a deliberate structure. If this kind of analysis is useful to you, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. What we do here is name what the system prefers you not to understand, so you can see it before it closes around you. What the company calls an onboarding period, and what the 90-day window actually is, exists in almost every large organization under different names. Probation period, integration phase, adjustment period. The vocabulary changes, but the structure is always the same, and the reason it exists has nothing to do with giving you time to learn. It has to do with cost. Within the first 90 days, certain benefits have not fully kicked in yet. Deferred compensation plans are not active. The termination clauses buried in the final pages of the contract you signed with enthusiasm specify very different conditions for anyone who leaves before that deadline. The company did not give you 90 days to settle in. It gave itself 90 days to decide, at the lowest possible cost, whether to keep you or not. Both things happen at the same time. You are learning, they are evaluating. Both sides know it. Neither side says it out loud. What your manager is measuring, and you do not even know exists, your manager is not evaluating whether you can do the job. That is already known. That is why you were hired. What they are evaluating is whether your judgment fits the environment, whether the way you handle ambiguity signals confidence or hesitation, whether the questions you ask reveal someone who is building a mental model of the organization or someone who is waiting to be told what to do next. You walk into your first team meeting thinking about how to present yourself well. Your manager walks in thinking about what your presentation reveals. You send an email, carefully choosing your tone. Your manager reads that email and evaluates your judgment. You ask a question because you genuinely do not know the answer. Your manager observes whether the way you asked signals someone who knows when to ask, or someone who asks to avoid being blamed later. This is not manipulation. It is evaluation. But it operates on a level that a new hire, by definition, cannot yet fully recognize. The file you will never see. Every organization has visible metrics. They are in the welcome package. Meet your goals. Complete your training modules. Attend the right meetings. Those are the only ones explained to you, because they are the only ones the company can share without discomfort. The invisible metrics are not written in any formal document, but they are tracked anyway. In internal notes, in evaluations shared among people with influence over your trajectory, in conversations that happen about you when you are not in the room. Among what is being measured without telling you are things like this. Which people with real influence you reached in the first 2 weeks, not by accident, but with intention. Whether your communication style came across as confident or uncertain in the first all-hands meeting. How you handled your first real moment of confusion. That moment when you did not know the answer and had to decide in seconds whether to improvise, ask openly, or acknowledge the limits of your knowledge. That moment may have felt insignificant, but it told the person watching something no resume ever could. The invisible metrics are recorded in files you will never open, written by people who will never tell you what they wrote. The most striking part is that those people do not even consider it a secret. They simply assume it is not information the organization needs to share with you. Why the evaluation stays invisible while it is happening. Within the 90-day window, everything is accelerated and happens under artificial conditions. The new person shows more initiative than they will sustain. They hold back doubts they would normally express. Experienced managers know this. The version they see in the first month is a performance, and they are evaluating both what that performance shows and what it hides. This creates a difficult asymmetry. You are presenting your best version while they are looking for what that version is concealing. The signals nobody will name for you. A follow-up meeting that lasts 12 minutes. The next one gets rescheduled once and ends up happening in the hallway between two other conversations. Your manager asks questions but does not go deeper. The tone never shifts from evaluative to collaborative. In organizations where the trajectory is positive, conversations evolve. New responsibilities appear. There is space for the new person to contribute ideas, to question, to shape direction. When that does not happen, when month 2 looks exactly like month 1, that consistency is a signal. It just will not be labeled as one. And while you interpret it as normal, the evaluation already has a direction. What the trap looks like once it closes. A negative evaluation is rarely communicated directly. There is no formal meeting, no improvement plan, no conversation that clearly states what was decided. The company learned a long time ago that those conversations create more problems than they solve. What happens instead is quieter. Your scope starts to shrink. A project you were going to lead is handed to someone who is already inside. An important meeting happens without you, and you find out because you were not copied on the follow-up email. When you ask, you are told that priorities shifted, that your part was already covered, that you will be included in the next phase. Your title stays the same, your job description does not change, but the real structure of your role starts to be dismantled around you, quietly. This trap does not feel like failure. It feels like waiting. And while you wait for things to improve on their own, the time you had to change the outcome passed months ago. The question nobody asks during the first 90 days. Most new employees use the first 90 days to orient themselves toward the company. They learn the culture, the systems, the dynamics. That is necessary. But very few use those same 90 days to pay attention to how they are being evaluated. Orienting yourself toward the company is absorption. Paying attention to the evaluation is active observation. Who is watching? What are they watching? What does a positive trajectory look like in this organization compared to a negative one in the early stages? That requires questions most people never ask. Not only what is expected of me in these first months, but what does success look like at 90 days from the perspective of the people evaluating me? Not only how processes work, but who are the people whose opinions carry real weight on this team? These questions are not asked on the first day. They are built into conversations that seem informal, but are deliberately strategic. The difference between the people who ask them and the people who do not is not talent. It is understanding the system they are operating in. What the system prefers you not to know. The 90 days are not a runway. They are an evaluation window with a deadline. Once that window closes, the conclusion recorded in that file you will never see begins to operate quietly but consistently across every opportunity, every project, and every decision the organization makes about you. The evaluation is continuous, silent, and cumulative, and by the time most people realize they were being evaluated, the evaluation is already over. The company uses those 90 days to decide who you are within its structure. The question is whether you use them to understand what they are deciding and by what criteria. There is always a file with your name on it. The only difference is what someone wrote in it while you were learning the systems. If what you just heard helped you recognize something you had not been able to name before, like this video, and if you want to keep learning to read the invisible rules of the workplace, the dynamics nobody explains, but that determine everything, subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell. Do not keep stepping into new jobs without understanding what is really being measured.